Hi, I'm Tisha Copeland at Not Your Mama's Quilt Store, and I want to show you how to do a fun and done or quilt as you go pattern a little bit differently than my previous video. This is the quilt sample that you saw in my previous video. This is a technique that allows you to quilt your fabric, construct your quilt, put your binding on all at the same time. So if you want to see a step-to-step or step-by-step on this technique, go to my previous video that shows you how to do a quilt as you go. Now, this is very easy in that the pattern, this one called Zip Strip that I showed, is just individual pieces, and the quilting comes out as you're doing the individual lines. But what if you want to do a pattern that's a little bit more complicated? Say one like this, that has more pieces in it, lots of little tiny blocks or lots of little tiny squares. Or maybe even one like this that has lots of different points in it and has some different backings on there. So what you're going to do with this to make it a little bit easier, and these are all in the instructions, is do some pre-sewing. One thing that I have gotten since the last video that we didn't have before is the batting buddy. The batting buddy is something that allows you to cut your backing fabric and your batting all to the correct size. Now, everything I'm showing you right now is available in our store. You can call us or you can shop directly online on my store. My store email or my store website is notyourmamasquiltstore.com. You'll want to go to shop, then Quilt Patterns, and right up there in Quilt Patterns you will see a section for Fun and Done or Quilt as you go, and that shows all the patterns, because this isn't all I have. I have a whole bunch of other fun ones right here, and this is just a sprinkling of what's available. So I've got all of these right now, but this is the one I'm going to show you right now. So the Fun and Done Batting Buddy is something that we do carry in the store, and we can ship that out to you. The way that works is that when I'm going to cut my backing squares, yes, I can sit and measure them all out one by one, but if I don't want to spend the time doing that, I'm just going to cut my backing at the size that is given in the pattern, and then I can go ahead and trim around this ruler for the exact size. Now, a little tip I can give you is that when you're cutting your backing, use the middle part as well, because it gives you something to hold on to rather than just the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and put my backing right here, and I would cut like this till I get all the right size. The next thing that I want to do is cut my batting, and this is where it's very easy to use this batting buddy. I'm going to just sit it right here, and I can cut exactly my batting size that I'm supposed to have. Again, you can do this without the ruler, but this just makes it so much easier, and I'm all for making things easier, because I hate trying to read those little lines on the ruler, especially if you wear reading glasses like I do. It just adds one more you know, what do you call it, problem to the equation. So what I want to do is have this perfectly centered on my batting, on my backing, but I may not be able to tell how even I am on the sides. So an easy way to do this is to just lay my ruler over here again, and I'm going to take the batting piece that I just cut and lay it right in there. Now I know that I am centered right in the middle of my backing. From this point, I'm ready to start putting my pieces on. I'll go ahead and pin this in place so it doesn't move around while I'm working, and I know I'm in the right place. Now, in these patterns that have more complicated designs like this, you're going to do some pre-sewing. In this case, you're doing 2.5-inch strips, so jelly roll works really well for this. You're going to do 2.5-inch strips, and you're going to sew them in groupings. Okay, once I've done the groupings, then you're going to go in and cut it at the size that's directed in the pattern, that tells you what pattern. Everything I'm doing is exactly in the pattern. So in this case, it was 2.5 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Then she also gives you instructions to do 2 more, and she gives you the sizes for that as well, so that you can go ahead and add it to the back. So now that I've done this, in this case, I'm not going to have to put all these pieces on there one by one. I'm only going to do 1 stitch line, which is going to make the back look really, really nice. But I want to know exactly where I'm going to be able to put these pieces to be able to work. So in this instance, she gives you a template just like this, and she tells you to look at the template right here and to match up your seam lines where the markings are right here. This is so that you have really good placement of where you want to put your seams. Okay, so now I've got those matched up. I'm going to push that down a little bit. I'm in exactly the right place. I'm going to take that pin right there because I don't want to sew over my pin. And I'm going to put it right here. Then, now that I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be to start, I'm just going to take my next piece of fabric. And again, all of these measurements are given to you in the pattern. Okay, so these aren't numbers that I'm making up. And I'm going to go ahead and stitch right here. Once I have done that stitching right there, I'm able to fold this back, and I have my first stitch line done, my first piece of quilting. Now, one of the things that you have to remember to do on this, just like the other technique, is that you are going to stitch right up to the edge of the batting and back stitch right here. You don't want to go past the edge of the batting, just up to the batting edge and back stitch right there. And the same thing, you're sewing everything with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and here is the other one right here. And that's where I'm going to stop and then back stitch a little bit. That's to hold everything in place. Once I have done that, and I have this one ironed to the side, there's another little template piece right here that I'm going to lay right there, and I'm going to get my next piece that I have sewn just like this, and I'm going to match up the seam allowance exactly with that mark right there, with that little register right there. When I have done that, I'm going to put in another seam right here and fold this back. It'll actually look a little bit better, not quite that. You'll actually be all the way up to the edge. I'm not pinning very well right now. I'd have to sew it all. But you're going to put another seam like that. Then you proceed just like you do in my other video, where you're cutting off your edges and then you're putting your seams together, the backing together as a fold, fold, and turn over. It's just like the other video. It's just a different way of getting different designs that are a little bit more complicated by doing some pre-sewing. So what this has done now, here's one that I've already done. This is one block I've already done that shows you. And what this is going to do is, instead of having, sorry, there's a piece of thread. Instead of having a seam line here and here and here and here and here and here and here, you're only going to end up with 4 quilting lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the back of your quilt is still really pretty. You still end up with quilted pattern, but you don't have all the individual little blocks. So this is a very easy way to do this. I hope you enjoy it. Look at my other video online, and if you have any questions, you can give us a call at 972-612-2641, or you can shop online with us at notyourmamasquiltstore.com. My name is Tisha Copeland, and I am here in Plano, Texas, Not Your Mama's Quilt Store. Thank you.